So I have really good news, and I'm going to show you a press conference with my hero Sam Young, because activism works and the Mormon Church has changed some of their policies to better safeguard children, protect every child. But it's not good enough, so we will still march and we will still push on for changes in Salt Lake City the 5th of October this year. And so enjoy this press conference, but please watch the video all to the end, because we have to talk about something. We have been invited to take part as XJW in this protest, and this is a great win-win situation, especially for the kids, of course. But we have to make a decision. Should we run with the ball or should we drop the ball? I think we should run with the ball. But first, Sam Young and the press conference.
Greetings. Protect every child. Today, the children scored once. Score one for the children is what I would say in response to what the LDS Church announced today. So they announced that training is that all leaders and anyone that works with children are to complete new training that's just been released. That is a positive thing. That's one of the things that Protect Every Child has been calling for. We've got a list of 5 or 6 things that we are calling for, and they have made one of those changes today. Good on them. Last year we marched. 1,000 people came out to the march, and guess what? They made a change to allow another adult in the room. They did not require that, so the vast majority of interviews are happening one-on-one with children. They did not change anything with regards to sexual questions. So any sex question is still allowed in the bishop's office, which is horrendous. But this year, we're now calling for all churches to establish certain policies, procedures in their institution, and the church has now responded to one of them before our coming March. So October, we've got another march coming up on October 5th. A march for children's rights, a march to end sex abuse. We now have a coalition of 10 organizations that are supporting this initiative to end child abuse. So let's just talk about what the Mormon Church has done that I do appreciate. They are calling, the language is a little interesting. It doesn't say it's required. I've seen news stories that say it's required, but it says these particular people are to take the training. That sounds required, but then there's no stipulation, no requirement that they take the training before they start to serve. There's none. It actually says that they need to complete the training within 1 month of starting to serve. But there's nothing mentioned as far as what happens if someone doesn't take the training. And my guess is a lot of people are going to forget about that. They may not view it as important as Protect Every Child views it, or as important as what I think the church is putting, the importance the church is putting on it. So it should be required. It should be required before they start in their calling. It is required to be, or not required, they're saying it should be renewed once every 3 years. Outstanding. It's not a one-time training. I would prefer to see it done once every year or once every 2 years, but at least doing it once every 3 years, good. They've addressed it, that they are going to repeat it, so I like that. Now, one of those weird things of transparency, they've hidden their training behind a firewall where you have to be a member that has an account with the church. So they excommunicated me for calling for this very type of thing to protect our children. And so I can't go in there and look at it. I can't look and see what the training is for the leaders that my grandchildren are going to be exposed to. That's not right. Why are they hiding their training, making it inaccessible to the outside world. No, it needs to be transparent. And that's one of the things we're calling for. We're calling for, and this is only the Mormon Church. Actually, it's any church that does this, but only the Mormon Church does it. There should be no one-on-one interviews. There should be no sex interrogations. Period. That has to be eliminated to protect children. We're calling for that. We're calling for strong policies to be put in place. We're calling for background checks for everybody, all those leaders, all those adults that are taking this training. There should be a background check done on them. There should be transparency. It should be very easy for everybody to know exactly what the policies are. This training should be out in the open. There should be no hidden stuff in Handbook 1 where parents don't know how their children are going to be treated, that only the leaders know that if they happen to read what is in the manuals. So we're calling for transparency. Any parent, any adult should be able to walk into that church and ask, I want to know exactly what the policies and procedures are to protect our children. And there it is right there. They can either access it on the website, or it's on the bulletin board, or they hand you the 5-page handout or the 20-page handout. I've got one from some organization here or some church that's about 20 pages long. Good for them. They've thought of all kinds of things, good policies to protect their children. So we're calling for transparency. We're calling for accountability with regards to this, the policies that are put in place, the boundaries that are put in place. So where I see some good things with this, there's still a long ways to go. We're holding another march, this march in October, to eliminate child abuse, child sex abuse, to stand up for the rights of our children. I would like to be going to that march saying, hey, we're celebrating institutions have now implemented the full slate of policies that protect our kids. The Mormon Church has made a step to do that. Good for them. I recognize that, and I want to compliment them for working on this. I will find a way to see this training to see how good it is. And by the way, I was disappointed. My mouth dropped when I got to the question and answer section where it was, how long will the training take? And it was, it should take about 30 minutes. And I went, 30 minutes? They just explained how important protection of children is. They're going to spend 30 minutes training about sex abuse. I went through a training recently, the Darkness to Light training. They have several modules. The first module should be the minimum required for everybody that works with children. It was 2 hours. Took me a little over 2 hours to go through that. I thought it was very thorough, and I'm thinking, so if you had to cut out 75% of that training, what are you left with? So I'm anxious to find a way to go look at their training. I'd like to take this opportunity one more time to invite people to come to the march. This is an historic event. The first time that adults, because children are not going to march for themselves. They don't know the issue. They don't understand that they could be handicapped for the rest of their life by the scars that are placed on them by child sex abuse. They're not marching for themselves. We as adults, as adult human beings that are concerned about our children, or if you're Christian, for heaven's sakes, we're standing up for what Jesus Christ called for protecting children. It will be the first time that there is a national march calling for child sex abuse to end. The first march to stand up for the civil rights of our children. If you are anywhere near Salt Lake City, or not even near Salt Lake City, come to Salt Lake on October 5th, 2019. We're less than 2 months away. It is going to be an amazing event. Last year, the march that we held, 1,000 people came to. People described it as a magical event. It was just an amazing thing. This one is going to be gigantic. It is going to be another magical event that you will be proud to tell your children and your grandchildren about, that you were at the very first march to stand up to protect their kids, the grandkids, and people that are not even related to you to protect our entire society from what is happening in churches, in all kinds of institutions that we're reading about every day. 5 years from now, we don't want to be reading about any of this stuff, having new stuff happening to our children. Come to the march. Go to protecteverychild.com. Scroll down on that front page, you'll find a button to register for the march. Register so we can get a better idea of how many are coming. But we're shooting for 5,000 people to be at that march. Frankly, I'm getting embarrassed to say that number when I put it in contrast with the suffrage movement, the civil rights movement, the gay rights movement, other movements where they drew hundreds of thousands of people, at least 100,000 people to the first march. And now we're marching for this huge segment of our society that can't protect themselves. And I'm talking about 5,000 people. Well, we're going to get 5,000 people. Be one of those 5,000 people. I'm calling on people to call on their friends, their neighbors, their family, their co-workers to come out and make this 100,000 person march. If we do that, actually, if we have 5,000 people, this is going to be a shot around the world. This is going to be heard across the country that we will not tolerate our children being abused anymore. And that people like the church, institutions like the Mormon Church, yes, you better implement training. And everything else, do not stop at the training.
So, should we run with the ball or should we drop the ball? I think we should run with the ball because we're creating a really, really good win-win. We get more media attention for both causes. And it's a good thing that, like, we can say that hashtag all religions must respect human rights. That includes that children should be protected from sexual exploitation. So it's basically the same, but when we tell the media that this started as a Scandinavian thing because in Scandinavia religion is funded by the state, then people feel, I'll learn something new. People enjoy learning fun facts. And also, if the Mormons apostles are anything like the governing body, that means they want to keep things quiet and hidden, secret. So when they heard that people in Norway know about what they're doing, people from foreign countries, then they take it more seriously. And the same when I'm talking with the minister here and they know we have people in Utah know what Norway are doing, they will maybe stop ignoring me. So this is a huge win-win, and I think also we should have a march against Warwick. Because some people told me that they live in New York, but it's too far away to go to Salt Lake City. But let's say we take a walk, we stroll up to Warwick, we knock at the door and say we have a letter from Sam Young. Then they can't refuse to take it. I've been in court and witnesses say, Watchtower in court, and they say we never heard anything that what we're doing could be harmful to children. Only ex-members, bitter ex-members, but never a witness say it. And that's very convenient because in the Jehovah's Witness religion, as soon as you say something is harmful for children, you get kicked out. So they say, I heard this in court, I've been in court with them, and they say, we had no indication that this could be harmful for children. Only ex-witnesses would say something about that. And they don't speak with ex-witnesses. And if you ask them why, they say, well, that's freedom of religion. It's against our doctrine. So, very convenient. But if we give them a letter from Sam Young, he's not an apostate. He's not a disfellowshipped. He's not Gog of Magog, demon-possessed rotting corpse or anything like that, like myself. He is technically kicked out of the Mormon Church. So according to Jehovah's Witness doctrine, he would be a honest-hearted, truth-seeking person that left Babylon the Great and now is knocking at the door at God's one true religion. So witnesses can't refuse a letter from him. So I think we should have two protests. So I actually have to ask you, because I can't do this myself, should we just run with the ball and do this? Let me know in the commentary section, because then I will just use my credit card and start buying t-shirts. Maybe 50. We shouldn't plan to fail. Maybe we could be 50. I need a guy in Salt Lake City with a shipping address that can be responsible for the logistics. We need someone that might be a spokesperson on both locations. So set up Facebook group. I think we should run with the ball, but I cannot do this myself. So tell me in the comments what we should do. And I need some help to pay for the t-shirts, but if this fails, you know, this could be good, really good, or not at all. But you know, if we fail and it all amounts to nothing, at least we have a shitload of t-shirts, and I can assure you that this is not the last protest, unless Watchtower decides to stop being evil, and then we can use the t-shirts at the celebration parties. So let me know what we're gonna do. I cannot do this alone, and Teespring is too slow, so we just have to start ordering t-shirts and signs and hope for the best. I think we should run with the ball. What do you think?